Hello, thank you for tuning in with me to read another story. I'm excited you're here. Today we're going to be reading a really great book. This story is called Owen, and it's written by Kevin Hanks. And it's a really great story about a little boy named Owen and his blanket. Here's what I want you to do while we're reading the story. I want you to think, can you make a connection to what we're reading? So can you connect this book to yourself, something that's happened to you before? Or could you connect this book to another book you've read and say, I read about that before? Making those connections is a great way to really help strengthen our thinking while we're reading. Every time I read a story, I'm always thinking, has something like this ever happened to me? Have I ever seen this in my life? It helps me to think about what I'm reading. So that's our challenge. Can you try and make a connection as we're reading Owen? Let's go ahead and get started. Owen had a fuzzy yellow blanket. He'd had it since he was a baby. He loved it with all his heart. I'm making a connection to myself. My boys, Benny and Robbie, both have little stuffed puppies that they've had since they were babies, and they sleep with them every night, and it makes them feel better when they're sad. That reminds me of Owen's blanket. I'm making a connection to something I know about in my life. I'm connecting this book to myself. Fuzzy goes where I go, said Owen, and Fuzzy did. Upstairs, downstairs, and in between. Inside, outside, upside down. Fuzzy likes what I like, said Owen, and Fuzzy did. Orange juice, grape juice, chocolate milk, ice cream, peanut butter, applesauce cake. So look at Fuzzy going all the different places he goes. And look at how dirty Fuzzy got. Can you make a connection to this page? Have you ever had a toy that gets really dirty with the things you eat because you have it with you all the time? Then maybe you have to wash it sometimes? Good connection. Isn't he getting a little old to be carrying that thing around? Asked Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of the blanket fairy? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. There's Mrs. Tweezers. Ooh, you can make a connection if you have a neighbor who lives next to you, or maybe if your backyard has a fence. That night, Owen's parents told Owen to put Fuzzy under his pillow. In the morning, Fuzzy would be gone, but the blanket fairy would leave an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific big boy gift in its place. Owen stuffed Fuzzy inside his pajama pants and went to sleep. Do you think that Owen wanted the blanket fairy to take Fuzzy? Have you ever felt like Owen? That's a connection you could make. No blanket fairy, said Owen in the morning. No kidding, said Owen's mother. No wonder, said Owen's father. Silly Owen. Fuzzy's dirty, said Owen's mother. Fuzzy's torn and ratty, said Owen's father. No, said Owen. Fuzzy is perfect. And Fuzzy was. Have you ever felt like this about a toy? Where maybe your parents said, oh, this toy's too old, you don't need it. And you said, no, I love it, it's one of my favorites. That's a connection you can make. Fuzzy played Captain Plunger with Owen. Fuzzy helped Owen become invisible. Oh my goodness, and look here, he's saying, off to the rescue. Bet you can't see me. And Fuzzy was essential when it came to nail clippings and haircuts and trips to the dentist. Oh, that's making me think of a connection to my boys. If they want to do any of those things, they have to have their puppies, which is like Owen's Fuzzy. Can't be a baby forever, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of the vinegar trick? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. The vinegar trick. When Owen wasn't looking, his father dipped Owen's favorite corner of Fuzzy into a jar of vinegar. Owen sniffed it and smelled it and sniffed it. He picked a new favorite corner. Then he rubbed the smelly corner all around his sandbox, buried it in the garden, and dug it up again. Good as new, said Owen. Oh, they can't trick Owen. So they were trying to make his blanket smelly so that he wouldn't want it anymore. He just put it in some dirt, took it out, and then he said, doesn't smell anymore. Fuzzy wasn't very fuzzy anymore, but Owen didn't mind. He carried it and wore it and dragged it. He sucked it and hugged it and twisted it. Maybe you could make a connection to another story. Have you read a different story about a kid who has a blanket or a toy that they really like and they never want to leave behind? That's a connection you can make. What are we going to do? Asked Owen's mother. School is starting soon, said Owen's father. Can't bring a blanket to school, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you ever heard of saying no? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. I have to bring Fuzzy to school, said Owen. No, said Owen's mother. No, said Owen's father. Owen buried his face in Fuzzy. He started to cry and he would not stop. Maybe you could connect this to another book you've read where a character's really sad and cries. Or maybe you've ever felt like Owen and you can connect to that too. Don't worry, said Owen's mother. It'll be all right, said Owen's father. And then suddenly Owen's mother said, I have an idea. It was an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific idea. First she snipped, then she sewed, then she snipped and sewed some more. What's she doing to Fuzzy? Snip, 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 sew, sew, sew. Dry your eyes, wipe your nose, hooray, hooray, hooray. She made a bunch of little fuzzies out of the one big fuzzy. Now Owen carries one of his not-so-fuzzy handkerchiefs with him everywhere he goes. So he can still have Fuzzy with him without having to carry around his whole blanket. And Mrs. Tweezers doesn't say a thing. Look, she has a handkerchief too. All right, you did such a wonderful job reading the story, Owen. Your job, again, is to see, can you make a connection to yourself from this story? So what's something that happened in the story that you can connect with? It's happened to you too. Then I want to see, can you make a connection to another story? What's something that happened in this book that you've read about in a different story? Good luck. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.